Good evening. Welcome to the Jacqueline Barn. We're going to work through our sheep showmanship finals. We're going to start out with juniors age 8 through 10. We're going to work it through the intermediates and then finally the seniors.
You want to hear? Oh, come on.
So if you didn't hear that, we're getting ready to start sheep showmanship finals. Starting with juniors, working through seniors.
Here's where we're sound checking. Ready to send a kid? Ready? And
Out of class number 1, Kuiper Vopat. Also out of class number 1, Ellie Demirs. And your class 2 finalists, Caden Steele. Oh. I'm sorry, that was a class 1 finalist. That was Lainey Tolman.
she's gonna go. Yeah, she's gonna go. What's her name? She's Nicole? What? Sam fucking hell.
And your class 2 finalist, Caden Steele.
Call Layla? Call Layla.
Your next class 2 finalist, Layla Deeds. And out of class 3, Kinsley Spurway. Also out of class 3, Rylan Carver. And ladies and gentlemen, there you are, your junior showman.
Well, let's start by putting our hands together here for all of our finalists because we've got a heck of a lineup. And if you know me at all from back home, I don't care how old you are, I'm going to mess with you just a little bit, especially, you know, out in a final drive like this. So we got to make it fun. But I tell you what, I think we could land on a lot of these different showmen here and really make you a heck of a top 5. But even to me, there's one that just comes out here and has just such skill set and actually such maturity and shows some experience in the ring. And I don't care for no matter what age they are. When they're good, they're really, really good. It comes down to setting those feet by hand, making sure that they're all set up nice and square, the positioning on the front of that sheep, holding that head and neck upright, keeping those ears propped up off their neck, but yet keeping their nose pointing forward all at the same time. And then I always say showmanship is putting in the most amount of work, but making it look the most effortless. And I think this person just finds that balance so well. And I love that we have all girls. And I don't know how it happened like that. I promise I didn't do it on purpose, but I think it's really fun. All right. It does happen once in a while. I'll say, boys, very rarely do I end up with the final drive of all boys on sheep, okay? So you gotta get out there and work at it to look as cute as some of these little girls, all right? There is one out here that just an absolute standout to me, top to bottom. Noticed them in the show yesterday and loved it, knew they were going to do well today, and then they came in and just absolutely killed it start to finish. Everybody, please put your hands together for this young lady right here. Up front. This young lady right here in the middle is coming next. There's somebody out here that's got intensity on the 200th percentile, and I love it. They've got to harness it just a little bit and then work on some of those fundamentals just a little bit. But when they're good, they're really, really good. There's a couple things I'd maybe change about them, like feet and leg placement, keeping an eye on them, things like that. But boy, there's things they do that are absolutely next level. This young lady here is next. One more. I think it gets pretty close for the next award, and I think, you know, when it really comes down to it, just positioning themselves most correctly up on that front end will take you to the next level, and it takes you from being a good showman to a great showman, and it's something that's going to come with a little bit more time and experience in the ring, but somebody I think is just a little bit closer to doing it right. This young lady up front is going to be next. Great job. You got to keep that. Got to keep that head in there.
And I got your top 5 finishers. In 5th place, Piper Vopat. Your 4th place finisher, Ellie Demirs. And coming in 3rd, Lainey Tolman. Your reserve champion, Rylan Carver. Your 2023 junior overall sheep grand champion, Layla Deeds. And out of Class 3, your intermediate showman, Kinsley Spurway. Out of Class 4, Marin Tolman. And out of class 4, intermediate showman, Marissa Dreifel. And also out of class 4, Eloise Mobbs. And your class 5 finalist, Bryson Hunter. And your next class 5 finalist, Candace Eider. And out of class 6, we have Cody Tolman. Also out of class 6, Lexi Piccioni. And your class 7 finalist, Aubrey Smith. And your next class 7 finalist, Peyton Lindsay. There you are. There's your intermediate showman.
Well, let's start by putting our hands together here for our intermediate finalists, because this is one heck of a lineup. I don't know how many shows I've done so far this year, somewhere in the 20s. And I'll tell you what, this is tough of a intermediate lineup as I have done, and that means across all species. It is really, really tough. And I think even still, as tough as it is, there is somebody out here that just kind of matches our energy back home in terms of the way that they get that sheep out and driving. And I'll tell you what, you guys listen in here, and I hope you can hear this. Sheep, in my opinion, are meant to walk at a little bit faster pace. They're not cattle, they're not dairy cows, and I think they naturally look better and look a little better poised. It's easier to keep their front ends upright if they're moving just a little faster than the average steer, okay? We're going to move them at a little bit faster rate. We're going to kind of prance them through the ring, and I think that's where they look their best. And if you were to stand back ringside or in my position and watch, I think you would agree. Sheep are meant to get out and just move a little quicker than the next animal. Even still, I think there's a showman out here that does that, and then as soon as they get stopped, they will make sure that every foot and leg is exactly where it needs to go, and they so calmly and so smoothly and effortlessly and essentially get into that front end, holding it upright, keeping those ears upright without pulling at that neck whatsoever. It just looks so natural, so effortless, and just so smooth, and they have just such a finesse about themselves. It's an easy choice for champion, and I'm not going to talk through each one of them like I did in the last string, but boy, I tell you what, there's one heck of a top 5 lineup. Let's put your hands together one more time, and I'm just going to pick us a top 5.
And your intermediate showman, your top 5 finishers in 5th place, Aubrey Smith. And your 4th place finisher, Lexi Piccioni. Coming in 3rd, Marin Tolman. And your reserve champion, Eloise Mobbs. And your 2023 Intermediate Grand Championship Showman, Candace Einer. And out of Class 8, your first senior showman finalist, Ellie Berger. Your next showman out of Class 8, Taylor Morris. Your next finalist out of Class 9, Aspen Kaiser. Also out of Class 9, your next finalist, Maddie Andress. Finalist out of Class 10, Gabriella Zentner. Also out of Class 10, Addison Grandley. And out of Class 11, Miss Carlene Ross. And out of Class 11, your final senior showman, Brooklyn Fletcher. Ladies and gentlemen, there you have them, your senior finalists.
Well, once again, let's start by putting our hands together here for our senior ladies. Once again, there is something at times that just comes a little bit easier to these girls on the sheep. I will say that. When my daughter was born, I told my son, you're going to have to just work a little bit harder so you can beat your sister someday. Lucky for him, she doesn't like sheep, so he's doing all right. Boy, I tell you what, it is splitting hairs out here. It is really, really close between our top three. And it just kind of comes down to personal preference. I think any of the three of them, for me, are absolute top notch, can compete at any level, anywhere in the country. And I truly, wholeheartedly mean that. It'll be a long time, I think, before I see another senior lineup like I do right here in this ring. And that is really exciting. Now, I am judging again tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. in Ocala, Florida, so I hope they don't outdo you that fast. But, boy, I think there's some incredible showmen out here, some really good talent. And, you know, I think of it as a judge. Yes, I try to look at it and evaluate it fairly, but I also think of it in a show dad terms. You know, I think about if this were my kid, what would I want them to change or what would I want them to do different? How do I approach that? And that's why I think it's so important that every kid leaves the ring learning something they can do to improve, because showmanship should be a learning experience every single time. It shouldn't just be something where the winner gets a banner and everybody else gets sent out. I hope that every kid that's come through the ring today has learned something they can improve, and it almost becomes a bit clinic-like. And if you know me at all, I spend my spring putting on clinics for feed, showmanship, selection, and everything else. So it is something that means a lot to me. I'm going to go out and select you one heck of a top five, and it is awfully close. It really comes down to personal preference. It may even come down to feet and legs. You know, just feet placement, you know, I think is absolute key. There's somebody out here that maybe separates themselves because every single corner is a perfect 90-degree angle every single time. And on top of that, boy, the drive that they get, the elevation that they get without ever pulling it ahead whatsoever is just so natural, so effortless, and has such a cool look. Put your hands together one more time. I'm going to pick you one heck of a top five.
Ladies and gentlemen, our top five senior showman finalists. In fifth place, we have Maddie Andrus. Finishing fourth, Carlene Ross. Your third place finisher, Ellie Berger. And your reserve champion, Addison Grunley. And your 2023 Senior Grand Championship Showman, Gabriella Zetner. And we'll get a roll right into our overall. We'll take our grand champion from all three age groups, put them all in here together, and sort it down to one.
Well, one last time, let's put our hands together for these three because they are absolutely outstanding. I'll tell you what, I got one heck of a showman back home. I'm awful proud of my son. He's 11 years old, and he's won showmanship more often than he's not. But I'm glad he doesn't have to share a ring with any of these three because they are awfully, awfully tough. I think they, like I said, in senior showmanship, any of these three can go to any show anywhere in the country. And I'm talking Louisville, Columbus, anywhere in Oklahoma, Texas, California that I've judged, and they stand out. I think they are top notch. Their talent with their skill and just drive and their energy out here is just unmatchable. They do such a nice job. And I think you could argue cases for any of the three, but there's one out here that just hits it for me every single time. Just undeniable. And even though I think they're all great plus 10 or whatever, great times 10, there's one that just kind of sets themselves right on top of this show. Thank you once again for having me. It has been an absolute pleasure, and I really hope I get to come back someday, and I really mean that. I did not expect for Idaho, I'll tell you this, I did not expect Idaho to look like this and to be this beautiful. All right, this is absolute gorgeous part of the country. I've been lucky and fortunate to be able to kind of travel all over the place, and this has truly been one of my favorite places to get out and go see. So that's been really fun, and next time I'm bringing people, I'll tell you that. Yeah, absolutely. So thank you again for having me. Let's go and put our hands together, get on your feet, and make some noise for this young lady right here.
Ready. And your grand champion overall, Sheep Showman champion, Gabriella Zentner. And a cider and Layla Deeds. Open it. Here, if I could get my beef, sheep, swine, goat showman and exhibitionists to please help us clean up the barn. We got to remove the shavings. We got to get it set up for the sale tomorrow.